Welcome to another explosive video here on the channel, where we dig up the truths that celebrities try to keep under lock and key. Picture this. At 83 years old, the King Roberto Carlos, the Brazilian music icon who built an empire of romanticism and mysteries, finally comes clean and admits what we all, deep down, always suspected. This isn't just any admission. We're talking about secrets that shake the pedestal of this untouchable artist, the kind that make you question everything you've heard on the radio for decades. Remember those scandalous rumors about his personal life, like the accident that marked his childhood and led him to hide a prosthetic leg, turning it into an absolute taboo and sparking lawsuits against anyone who dared mention it? Or the plagiarism accusations that hovered over timeless hits, with songwriters fighting in court for credits the king allegedly denied? And what about the turbulent family relationships, including the son who tragically passed away and the heirs fighting for recognition amid whispers of denied paternity? Oh, and let's not forget the religious controversies, with Roberto declaring himself a spiritualist while blending Catholicism and evangelicalism, which ticked off purists and sparked heated debates about hypocrisy in showbiz. Not to mention the insinuations about his sexuality, which he always silenced with million-dollar lawsuits against unauthorized biographies. Why so much fear of a book telling the truth? And now, in this twilight phase of his life, he drops a bombshell. He admits to connections with controversial figures from the military regime, the kind who supported the dictatorship while he sang about free love. Could it involve money laundering from international shows, or something darker, like secret pacts for success? Stay tuned, because we're diving deep into these scandals that the Brazilian popular music establishment try to sweep under the rug. But before we get into it, if you're loving this explosive content, hit that like button right now. It helps YouTube's algorithm spread the truth to more people. And subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell, because subscribing is crucial for YouTube. It shows our content is worth it, boosts our reach, and lets us keep bringing uncensored revelations, challenging the mainstream media that protects the powerful. Oh, and if you could support us even more, use the super thanks button below. Your financial support helps us invest in deep research and better equipment for even more impactful videos. If you can't, no worries. Just drop a comment below about what shocked you most in this story so far. Your interaction is pure gold. And listen, watch until the end, because the final revelation will leave you stunned, jaw-dropped, questioning everything about the king of romantic music. Roberto Carlos was born on April 19, 1941, in Cachoeiro de Itapemirim, a small and welcoming town in Espírito Santo, Brazil, known for its gemstones and the Itapemirim River, as the youngest of four siblings in a humble family. His father, Robertino Braga, was a watchmaker repairing clocks in a small downtown shop to support the household, and his mother, Laura Moreira Braga, famously known as Lady Laura, worked as a seamstress, serving clients and sewing day and night to supplement their tight income. They lived in a simple house in the Recanto neighborhood, perched on a hillside, dealing with the financial struggles common at the time, but with plenty of family warmth. Roberto had mixed ancestry, with a Portuguese grandfather and a grandmother with indigenous and African roots, which added a cultural richness to family stories. From the age of 4, little Roberto, nicknamed Zunga by friends, already showed a knack for music, imitating country singer Bob Nelson, his first idol, dressing up as a cowboy, and singing for anyone who'd listen with a sweet voice that charmed everyone. His mother was his biggest fan, playing the guitar in a basic way. She learned from the method of guitarist Canhoto, and encouraging her son, who quickly picked it up and created his own variations, making the home radio filled with boleros, tangos, and sambas his daily soundtrack. He was a joyful, smiling, playful boy, running through the streets, playing soccer, or exploring the river, dreaming beyond small-town life. But everything changed drastically at 6 years old on June 29, 1947, during the São Pedro Festival. While watching a parade with his friend Fafinha near the Leopoldina railway tracks, a steam locomotive silently ran him over, crushing his right leg below the knee. He fainted on the spot, was rushed by a panicked crowd to the Santa Casa de Misericordia, where, Doctors amputated his leg at the shin, a decision that preserved more mobility than usual. The family struggled financially, with his father racking up debts paid off only after a radio appeal, and Roberto used crutches for years, getting his first prosthesis at 15. This trauma deeply marked him, leading him to create personal prayers in the hospital that he still recites today, strengthening his Catholic faith as an emotional anchor and turning pain into fuel for music, as seen in later songs like Traumas and Oh Diva. At 9, in 1950, spurred by his mother, he debuted on Radio Cacoero's children's program, singing Bobby Capos' Amor y Mas Amor and winning candies as a prize, returning weekly and telling Laura he wanted to be a singer, abandoning dreams of being a pilot or truck driver. He won so many talent contests that he became or concours, opening and closing the show, and at 11, in 1952, got a weekly 15-minute slot, performing tangos and boleros with impressive vocal maturity, joining tours to nearby towns like Mimoso do Sol. In 1954, he enrolled in the Musical Conservatory for piano lessons, honing his skills, and at 14 recorded Dusa on acetate for his program, performing at the Casa do Estadani. His last radio appearance was in 1955, but he was already eyeing Rio, traveling for auditions during vacations at his aunt's house in Niterói. At 15, in 1956, he moved permanently with his suitcase and guitar, living with his aunt, studying nights at Colégio Brazil, and chasing opportunities by day, taking the ferry to auditions at Radio Nacional, Marinque Vega, and Tupi, facing rejections but soaking up influences from Lucio Alves and Dick Farney. Flunking high school due to absences, he considered returning home, but his parents moved to Rio, reuniting the family in Lins de Vasconcelos. Broke, he took a typing course at Colegio Ultra, meeting Octavio Tercero, a rock fan like him, who got him a spot on Tupi's Teletour, where he passed singing Tutti Frutti on a scooter at 16 in 1957, earning 200 cruzeros as a pro. In night school, he met Arlenio Livio, hitting the Bar Divino in Tijuca with Tim Maya, Jorge Ben, and others, learning rock guitar. Tim formed the Sputniks with Roberto, rehearsing harmonies and covers, debuting at a church and winning a contest, but a fight broke up the group. Roberto went solo as the Brazilian Elvis, playing gigs set up by Carlos Imperial alongside Tim and Simonal. In 1958, he prepped to open for Bill Haley at Maracanazinho with Hound Dog, transcribing lyrics with Erasmo Carlos, his future best friend, but a law banned minors, leaving him crushed. With rock's decline, the Club do Rock ended, and he played circuses and fairs. Hearing João Gilberto's Chega de Saudade sparked inspiration, leading him to work as a crooner at Boat Plaza in 1959, opening for Booker Pittman for 6,000 cruzeros a month. Imperial pitched him as the new João Gilberto, recording a Polydor single with João e Maria and Fora do Tom, a flop that killed the contract. Jobless, he played cabarets, tried bossa nova, but was snubbed by Talit, with Ronaldo Boscoli telling him to quit. This phase was tough, full of rejections, but it forged the resilience that took him to the top. At age 20 in 1961, Roberto Carlos was living in Rio de Janeiro after leaving his hometown of Cacoeiro de Itapemirim to pursue music. Early attempts with labels like Polydor and Columbia had failed, his first records selling poorly and leaving him without a contract. To survive, he worked as a typist at the Ministry of Finance while performing in nightclubs and small bars, facing tiny audiences and constant rejection. Yet these difficult years allowed him to refine a style that blended rock, bossa nova, and romantic ballads. In 1962, he finally signed with what would later become Sony Music and released singles that began attracting attention, including a Brazilian version of Splish Splash. This success helped lead to the rise of the Jovem Guarda movement, which exploded in 1965 with a TV show on record alongside Erasmo Carlos and Wanderlia. The program transformed him into the youth king, with hits like Smoking is Forbidden and I Want It All to Go to Hell, selling millions of records and launching him into nationwide fame by age 24. While his career soared, his personal life found stability. In 1968, at 27, he married Cleonice Rossi Martinelli, known as Nice, daughter of a Sao Paulo publicist. The ceremony, held discreetly in Santa Cruz de la Sierra, Bolivia, avoided the Brazilian press that followed him everywhere. Their union was an emotional anchor amid the frenzy of the Jovem Guarda years. Later that same year, they welcomed their first biological child, Roberto Carlos Braga II, known as Dudu Braga. Born with congenital glaucoma, Dudu had only 5% vision in one eye and was blind in the other. His condition required special care and later pushed Roberto to become more engaged in causes related to visual health. In 1971, their second biological child, Ana Cristina Braga, called Luciana, was born, completing the nuclear family. Roberto also legally adopted Nice's daughter from a previous relationship, Ana Paula, integrating her fully into the Braga family and demonstrating his protective and affectionate paternal nature. These family years included moments of domestic joy in their homes in Urca and Copacabana, even as fame generated constant challenges. Gossip magazines like Manchete and O Cruzeiro circulated rumors of infidelity, portraying him as a heartthrob involved with fans and actresses. Though Roberto publicly denied these stories, the speculation created tension within the marriage. After 11 years together, the couple separated in 1979 when Roberto was 38. The divorce was friendly and free of scandal, with shared custody of the children, and they remained on good terms until Nice's death in 1990 from health complications. Soon after the separation, in 1979, Roberto began a relationship with actress Miriam Rios, then 20, a rising star at TV Globo known for soap operas such as Coração Alado. They married in a discreet civil ceremony in 1980 and stayed together for 11 years, though they had no children. Their relationship inspired several of his romantic ballads, including I Need You from 1981, explicitly dedicated to her. Despite differences in personality, Miriam being more outgoing while Roberto valued privacy, the couple appeared regularly together at public events and on his annual year-end TV specials, which had started in 1974. During this period, he became Brazil's best-selling singer, surpassing 10 million records sold. The marriage ended in 1990 due to incompatibilities, again without public conflict, and Miriam continued her independent career while Roberto shifted toward more reflective musical themes. That a major revelation came in the 1990s. At 50, Roberto learned through a DNA test that he was the father of Rafael Carlos Torres Braga, born in 1969 from a brief relationship with model Maria Lucila Torres before his marriage to Nice. Rafael had been raised solely by Maria Lucila, who died of breast cancer in 1993 shortly after the confirmation of paternity. Roberto legally acknowledged Rafael in 1991, integrating him into the family alongside Dudu, Luciana, and Ana Paula. The episode showcased Roberto's maturity and willingness to embrace late-arriving responsibilities, supporting Rafael in his adult life and musical pursuits. These early relationships reveal a Roberto Carlos who combined artistic passion with emotional depth. Many of his famous songs reflect personal moments, such as How Great Is My Love for You from 1967, inspired by a youthful romance with Magda Fonseca, and Details from 1971, shaped by intimate family memories. Though he consistently defended his privacy, often suing magazines and unauthorized biographers, he admitted in rare interviews that family remained the foundation of his life. Even his fame repeatedly tested those bonds. The most iconic chapter begins with Maria Rita Simmels Braga, a discreet and dedicated educator whom Roberto Carlos met in 1977 at age 36 during a show at the Maracanazinho Gymnasium in Rio de Janeiro, introduced by his adopted daughter Ana Paula, who was her student at a private school. At the time, Maria Rita was 16 and Roberto was married to Miriam Rios. So the encounter was platonic, but he immediately admired her intelligence and sweetness, later describing her as someone who captivated him with her simplicity and the way she interacted with children, which deeply touched him as a father. Their romance only truly blossomed in 1991, after his marriage to Miriam ended, when Roberto, at 50, reconnected with Maria Rita, now a mature 30-year-old woman, and they began dating in secret to avoid media harassment, with him courting her old-school style with flowers, romantic dinners, and poetic letters that echoed his love songs, revealing a vulnerable side that contrasted with his public image as an untouchable superstar. They married in 1996 in an intimate, religious ceremony in Rio, without fanfare, and shared 3 years of intense happiness, childless, but with Roberto dedicating an absolute love to her that spilled into his art. Albums like Forever from 2003, released posthumously in her honor, include tracks like Acrostico, where the initials spell out Maria Rita my love, and others like Como e Grande o Meu, Amor por Você, gain new emotional depth inspired by her, with him declaring in rare interviews that she was his eternal muse, the woman who spiritually completed him, blending his Catholic faith with spiritualist touches they both shared. But tragedy struck quickly. In 1998, Maria Rita was diagnosed with cancer in multiple organs, including the uterus and intestines, at 37, and despite aggressive treatments in top hospitals in Brazil and the U.S., with Roberto footing the bills and canceling commitments to stay by her side, she passed away on December 19, 1999, at 38, leaving him devastated in a grief that halted his career, canceling the Globo year-end special for the first time and delaying his annual album, admitting to Veja magazine at the time that he was in deep mourning, but attributing his slow recovery to faith, saying, "I will heal," while isolating himself in his Urca mansion in Rio, surrounded by her photos and memories. This eternal love for Maria Rita shaped his mature relationships thereafter. After her loss at 58, Roberto chose a more reclusive romantic life, with no public marriages for decades, focusing on family, music, and spirituality, with occasional rumors of flings with fans or friends, but nothing confirmed, and he sued unauthorized biographies speculating about his intimacy, like Paulo Cesar de Arrojo's 2006 book, which he legally blocked to protect his privacy. In interviews throughout the 2000s and 2010s, like to Folha de São Paulo in 2004, he spoke of Maria Rita with reverence, calling her the great love of my life, and revealing he still talked to her in prayers, inspiring songs like O Amor Amaze and All Our Ladies, where grief turned into cathartic art, admitting his obsessive-compulsive disorder worsened in moments of longing, but treatment helped him move forward. In the following years, Roberto devoted himself to his children Dudu, Luciana, Rafael, and the late Ana Paula, becoming a grandfather and great-grandfather, quietly celebrating family milestones, but with no known steady partner until March 2025 at 83, when he broke his silence in an interview with Extra newspaper, revealing he's been dating for about a year, describing himself as an old-fashioned lover who values traditional romance with candlelit dinners and classic gestures, keeping his girlfriend's identity under wraps to preserve privacy, emphasizing he remains vain and physically active with exercises like biceps and walks, crediting orthomolecular medicine for his romantic vitality. This revelation came at a reflective moment, especially since in April 2025, on his birthday, he declared his love for Maria Rita again in a social media post, reaffirming her as his eternal great love despite the new relationship, showing his grief evolved into a serene memory that doesn't block new connections but keeps her in his heart. At 84 in 2025, Roberto lives in Rio, with occasional tours and the annual Globo special, balancing past and present. And in October 2025, YouTube and Instagram posts, like one marking 25 years since Maria Rita's death, reveal painful secrets he recently shared, like how her illness made him question his faith, but ultimately strengthened it, admitting in a documentary that love for her saved me from darkness, with speculations about his new romance pointing to someone outside showbiz, perhaps a longtime friend, though he denies details to avoid gossip. This love for Maria Rita wasn't just romantic, but transformative, influencing his philanthropy in cancer-related causes and his more introspective music, like 2000s albums that sold millions even in the digital era, proving, straight up, that Roberto Carlos found in maturity a balance between eternal loss and renewed hope, making his love story an inspiration for fans who see him as the king not just of song, but of a resilient heart. Roberto Carlos faced tough times, starting with a traumatic childhood accident at age 6 in 1947, when a steam locomotive ran him over during a festival in Cachoeiro de Itapemirim, amputating his right leg below the knee, a physical loss that left him using crutches for years and his family burdened with heavy debts. But he channeled this into strengthening his spirituality, creating personal prayers he still recites today, and inspiring songs like Traumas from 1971 and The Couch for 1972, where he sings about painful memories that kill him but don't bring him down, showing an incredible ability to overcome adversity from an early age. Decades later, in 1999, came the most devastating loss of his adult life, the death of his wife Maria Rita at 38, after a year-long battle with cancer in multiple organs, diagnosed in 1998. At 58, Roberto canceled tours, the annual Globo year-end special, and an album release, plunging into deep grief that isolated him for months. Admitting to Veja magazine that he was shattered but faith would help him heal, transforming that pain into art with albums like Forever in 2003, dedicated to her, with tracks like Acrostic spelling her name, proving his resilience by returning to the stage in 2000 with emotional shows that reconnected him with fans. In 2004, at 63, he publicly revealed suffering from obsessive-compulsive disorder, a condition that tormented him with extreme superstitions, like avoiding certain colors, numbers, or song lyrics, leading him to abandon tracks like Breakfast. For years, out of fear of bad luck, in a press conference, he admitted obsessive-compulsive disorder worsened during stressful times, but therapy and medication significantly helped, declaring, "I'm getting better," and reclaiming old songs like "I Want It All to Go to Hell" in 2016 after 30 years, showing how he faced this mental struggle with humility and persistence, using music as therapy. The string of family losses continued in 2010 with the death of his mother, Lady Laura, at 96 from a respiratory infection while he performed in New York. He only learned after the show, a blow that led him to cancel commitments and dedicate the 1978 song, Lady Laura, to her in tributes, telling Tara in 2011 about their closeness, crediting her for his inner strength, and moving forward by honoring her in TV specials. Soon after, in April 2011, another blow hit. The sudden death of his adopted daughter Ana Paula at 47 from cardiac arrest in her husband's arms in Sao Paulo. At 70, Roberto publicly expressed his pain in a press statement, emphasizing his unconditional love for her, adopted from his marriage to Nice, and this drove him to grow closer to his remaining children, turning grief into deeper family devotion. In 2021, at 80, his resilience was tested to the max with the death of his son Dudu Braga at 52, after years fighting peritoneal cancer. Dudu, born with congenital glaucoma and limited vision, was not only his son, but also a producer and drummer in his band, and Roberto closely supported his treatments, stating in lives and interviews that faith and love bonded them. Pausing shows after the September 2021 loss, but returning in 2022 with emotional tributes, like dedications in Globo specials. Admitting music helped him process the longing. During the COVID-19 pandemic from 2020 to 2022, Roberto faced forced isolation at 79 to 81, canceling international tours and the annual Emotions at Sea cruise for 2 years, which left him anxious about his family's and his own health, with his leg prosthesis requiring extra care. He used the time for home live streams and spiritual reflections, blending Catholicism, spiritualism, and evangelicalism, sparking debates, but strengthening him, declaring in 2022 upon returning to the stage that the period made him more grateful for life. In 2025, at 84, rumors and social media posts suggest he dealt with a tough loss in July, possibly a close friend or collaborator, with fans sending condolences and him sharing heartfelt reflections on decades of resilience. Though no new family losses are confirmed, and he remains active with sold-out shows. As seen in October 2025 Instagram post from fans celebrating unforgettable nights, proving his faith and public support keep him standing. Constant legal battles for privacy, like lawsuits against unauthorized biographies in 2007 and 2015, tested his patience, with him defending that no one has a right to my story. But he overcame by focusing on philanthropy in cancer and visual health causes, inspired by Maria Rita and Dudu's losses. His health in 2025 is prioritized with daily exercises like walking and biceps/triceps workouts, plus orthomolecular medicine for longevity. As revealed in March 2025, admitting vanity and optimism despite his age, reflecting on dreams and Facebook posts, saying today is a new day of a new time that has begun, encapsulating his unshakable resilience. Ultimately, these losses and tough times forged a stronger Roberto, who uses music to heal and connect, selling over 140 million records and holding the King title with humility, inspiring us all to face adversity with grace and persistence. Straight up, he's living proof that resilience comes from the heart. One of the most striking revelations came in 2004, at age 63, when Roberto Carlos publicly admitted to suffering from obsessive-compulsive disorder, a mental condition that tormented him with extreme rituals and superstitions, like avoiding colors such as brown or yellow, odd numbers, or song lyrics he deemed problematic, leading him to abandon hits like Cafe de Manha for decades out of fear of bad luck or negative energy. During a press conference to launch the album Forever, he revealed, that obsessive-compulsive disorder made him obsessively repeat daily actions, worsening during stressful times like family losses. But after therapy and medication, he improved and declared, "I'm getting better, thank God," humanizing his untouchable idol image and sparking controversy among fans who saw it as a weakness, but also empathy from those dealing with mental health, inspiring him to reclaim old songs like Quero que va tudo pro inferno in 2016 after 30 years, admitting it was hard to control the emotion, singing something obsessive-compulsive disorder once blocked. In the same year, 2004, in an interview with Folha de Sao Paulo, he made a controversial statement about faith, saying, "Faith doesn't move mountains," contrasting with his devout Catholic image mixed with spiritualism and evangelicalism, which angered religious purists and sparked debates about hypocrisy in showbiz, as he always credits his success to spirituality, but here questioned classic dogmas, revealing a more philosophical and skeptical side rarely shown. Admitting his faith is personal, crafted since his childhood accident. With daily prayers, he created himself. Moving to 2013, amid the Procure Saber Group controversy, which advocated for prior authorization for biographies, Roberto left the collective after internal disputes, stating in Globo interviews that no one has a right to my story without my permission, painting him as a censor and drawing free speech criticism, especially after blocking Paulo Cesar de Ojo's 2007 book, Roberto Carlos M. Detalles, where he questioned, "Would you like someone to take over your story?" defending privacy but fueling rumors about hidden secrets like past relationships or alleged ties to the 1970s Brazilian dictatorship, topics he avoids but leak in unauthorized biographies. In 2016, during a Globo TV special, he sang, "I want it all to go to hell for the first time in 30 years, revealing afterward that obsessive-compulsive disorder had blocked it due to negative associations, but now overcome, admitting he felt more emotional than ever. A statement showing vulnerability that moved fans but also stirred controversy among conservative ones who found the lyrics too rebellious for the Romantic King. On his King nickname, he consistently speaks with humility in interviews over the years, saying, "I've always received this title with affection and humility, as it was naturally given by the public," but admitting he doesn't see himself that way, contrasting with his regal image and sparking debates about ego in showbiz, especially when he sues critics. In 2013, He criticized the misuse of his image by Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, who used details in a campaign, threatening legal action and stating, "I don't authorize anyone to use my music for political purposes," a controversial stance that positioned him against leftist regimes, echoing old rumors of ties to Brazil's dictatorship, which he vehemently denies in rare comments. Jumping to recent revelations, in March 2025, at 83, during a press conference on the emotions at sea cruise aboard the Costa Pacifica, Roberto opened up about his love life, revealing he's still dating decades after Maria Rita's passing, describing himself as an old-fashioned lover, valuing traditional romance with dinners and classic gestures, admitting, "I'm a boyfriend like any other," surprising fans by breaking his silence on intimacy, sparking controversy over vanity in old age and speculation about his girlfriend's identity, kept strictly secret to avoid gossip, while emphasizing health practices like exercise and orthomolecular medicine to maintain romantic vitality. In the same March 2025 UL Splash interview, he explained recent outbursts at shows, like demanding audience silence or telling fans to leave restricted areas, attributing it to age with, "It's age, I'm less tolerant," a controversial remark showing an irritable human side, generating memes and criticism from fans who saw him as grumpy, but also empathy for aging on stage at 83. Joking he feels like a 83-year-old lad, revealing optimism despite physical limitations like his leg prosthesis. In August 2025, YouTube videos like Roberto Carlos' Secrets revealed what he avoids saying compile statements where he admits dodging topics like sexuality or past plagiarism allegations, stirring controversy by suing biographies. And in a recent Terra interview, he reflected on longevity, saying, "I do physical exercise, biceps, triceps, all that to live longer," revealing vanity and body care that contrast with his spiritual image but spark debate for seeming superficial in a mental health focused era. Another controversy in 2025 involved a feud with Janja, highlighted in YouTube videos, where he allegedly criticized the First Lady's political stances, dividing opinions in Brazil, though details are speculative, and he stated in a press conference he prefers focusing on music over politics, yet admitted past ties to controversial figures that fuel debates. In June 2025, Instagram posts resurfaced an old comment of him calling Luiz Gonzaga square, with the Baião King responding in song, revealing rarely discussed musical rivalries, stirring controversy about ego among icons. In October 2025, videos like Roberto Carlos, the biggest controversies and quirks, summarize his remarks on quirks like avoiding planes or certain foods, admitted in sporadic interviews. And he recently told Globo he dreams of a new time, reflecting on aging with optimism, but controversy for sounding nostalgic in modern times. Overall, these controversial statements show an introspective Roberto who guards secrets but drops gems that humanize the myth, like in 2017 on Fantastico, where he softened his stance on biographies, revealing he's writing his own, sparking anticipation but still unreleased by 2025, fueling mysteries. Straight up, his interviews are gold mines for understanding the man behind the king, blending vulnerability and controversy that keep his legend alive. The history of Roberto Carlos's controversies and legal battles for privacy began early, in 1979, when at 38 years old he sued his former butler João Luiz de Souza over the unauthorized biography, The King and I, packed with gossip about his routine and relationships, leading to the book's withdrawal from circulation after a legal fight that lasted until 1981. With an initial print run of 70,000 copies halted and the singer claiming invasion of privacy, marking his first major victory in this arena and setting the tone for future battles. Soon after, in 1983, he took journalist Rui Castro to court over a Status magazine article detailing his past romances, alleging defamation and invasion, resulting in compensation and a retraction, with Rui Castro later criticizing in 2013 that this curbed free speech and showed the singer's boundless vanity, highlighting how Roberto used the courts to shield his romantic Jovem Guarda heartthrob image. Moving to the 2000s, The most iconic and controversial case came in 2006 with the biography Roberto Carlos M. Detals, written by Paulo Cesar de O. and published by Editora Planeta, which chronicled his journey from childhood to stardom, including accidents, relationships, alleged plagiarism, and ties to the military regime, selling 14,000 copies in weeks before Roberto filed a lawsuit in January 2007, claiming falsehoods, privacy invasion, and copyright violation, questioning, would you like someone to take over your story? The legal battle was intense, with the Rio de Janeiro Court of Justice banning sales and recalling copies in February 2007, sparking national debates on prior censorship versus the right to privacy, culminating in a criminal hearing where the author defended himself but lost, with the book banned to this day, inspiring Paulo Cesar to release O Ru e O Rei in 2014 about the legal fight without being a direct biography, and Roberto choosing not to sue, stating in a note he wouldn't take legal action as the new book wasn't about his life but the lawsuit, calming tensions but leaving critics labeling him a censor. In 2013, Roberto got caught up in the Procure Saber Group controversy, formed by artists like Chico Bark and Caetano Veloso to defend prior authorization for biographies, arguing for privacy and the difficulty of repairing post-publication damage. But he left the group after internal disputes, stating he preferred to focus on music, drawing criticism for dodging public debate while using the law to protect himself. And a Supreme Federal Court in 2015 overturned the need for authorization, opening the way for free biographies, though Roberto still critiques works invading his privacy. Another controversy hit in 2013 when he tried to block Myra Zimmerman's book, Young Guard, Fashion, Music, and Youth for mentioning him, alleging misuse of image, but partially lost. And that same year, he threatened to sue Nicolas Maduro for using details in a Venezuelan political campaign without permission, stating, "I don't authorize anyone to use my music for political purposes," thrusting him into international copyright debates and painting him as conservative. In 2014, he parted ways with Friboy after an ad campaign implying he ate meat, but vegetarianism rumors irritated him, leading to an amicable exit without a lawsuit, though it underscored his sensitivity to his public image. Also in 2014, he sued a namesake Roberto Carlos for using the name in business, claiming brand confusion, and won, reinforcing his protection of the King title. In 2015, he had comedian Tyrerica fined for a parody of The Gate of Hell, alleging moral damage and misuse, a controversial decision drawing criticism from comedians over artistic freedom. And that same year, he demanded the removal of his song chords from online sites, suing platforms for copyright violation. More recently, in 2015, Jote Medeiros' book, Roberto Carlos, That's Why This Voice Is So Big, faced initial legal hurdles due to fears of lawsuits, but was released after the Supreme Federal Court liberalized biographies, and Paulo Cesar de Ojo planned to re-release Roberto Carlos M. Detals in 2015, though he still faces resistance, with Roberto stating he remains vigilant about his privacy. As of 2025, no new blockbuster lawsuits are reported, but the legacy endures. Roberto is seen as a pioneer in defending privacy in Brazil, influencing laws, but also criticized for censoring narratives, with articles calling him the king of censorship. While he insists in rare interviews, it's about personal protection, not ego, turning controversies into part of his mystique, dividing fans between admiration and questioning straight up. These battles show a man fighting to control his own story in an era of total exposure.